everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year Freakout book tag. So there are 13 questions and I've looked over them some, but don't know my answers off the top of my head, so I'll be doing this as we go. The first question is the best book you've read so far in 2022, and I have a list on my Goodreads profile of the best books that I've read in 2022 so far, and I believe there are 4 books that I want to talk about for that. Okay, so the best books that I've read in 2022 so far is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang, Heartbones by Colleen Hoover, Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, and Ties That Tether by Jane Agaro. Those are all my favorites that I gave 5 stars. And then my other favorite that I gave 4.5 stars was Can't Look Away by Corolla Lovering. I gave that one 4.5 stars. Number 2 is best sequel you've read so far in 2022. And I'm already not much of a series person. I'm much more a standalone kind of gal. But the Kiss Quotient trilogy, I did read all 3 books this year, and the second one was definitely one that has stuck with me to this day, partially because if someone asks me who my fictional crush is, I'm definitely answering with Kai. I loved him so much, and that book has stuck with me so much because of his character. So for best sequel you've read so far in 2022, that is The Bride Test by Helen Huang. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. There's so many, but one that comes to mind right away is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. That book was on my anticipated releases of 2022 video. I will link that up above and down below. But basically I haven't read it yet because I wanted it to match my other Emily Henrys that are book of the month, and it wasn't an option on book of the month, even as an add-on, so I just haven't read it yet. However, I did think that it only came out in paperback, and it didn't. It came out on hardcover. So even though it's not going to match my others without the book of the month symbol, it will at least be a hardback. So it's been on my TBR since it came out. I've just been a little bit hesitant to read it. However, if I ever get my hands on it, which will be sometime this year at least, I'm very, very, very excited for it. So yeah. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to, Book Lovers, Emily Henry. 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year, probably The It Girl by Ruth Ware. That comes out next month in August. Another one that I am really anticipating, the Celeste Ng book, her new book. I don't remember what that's called. Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ng. I'm definitely excited for that. And then the Karen M. McManus book, Nothing More to Tell. I'm very excited for that one as well. That also comes out next month. 5, biggest disappointment is False Witness by Karen Slaughter. Everyone hyped that book up for me, said it was so good, the storyline was so good, blah blah blah. I didn't care for it because of the COVID references. Like, can we just have new releases not reference COVID? I understand that it's a huge point in our lives because there was a global pandemic, but we lived it, we don't want to read about it. So let's move on. The storyline would have been fantastic if it didn't talk about COVID all the time. It's like he pulled his mask down or she pulled her mask down to do something. I don't know. It just got old, all the COVID references. I wasn't having it, so that was definitely my biggest disappointment. I gave that book 2 stars. Biggest surprise? For biggest surprise is probably Shadows of Pecan Holo by Caroline Frost. That is a debut novel and it's historical fiction. I did have really high hopes for it, and with it being a debut, I was a little bit nervous, but it was so good. I loved it. I gave that one 4 stars. It was really, really good, and I will read anything else that she writes because of how good it was. So that one was definitely a big surprise for me with it being a debut. 7 is favorite new author, whether it's a debut author or a new to me author. Man, I wish I could answer with Colleen Hoover, but I read her last year. Same with Kristen Hanna. I read her last year as well. I guess I'm just gonna have to go with Helen Huang because she has written some books that I've really enjoyed, even even though I believe she only has 3 books out. I've enjoyed all of them, and so I'm just gonna have to go with Helen Wong. Number 8 is newest fictional crush. I kind of already answered that. Kai from The Bride Test, which is the 2nd book in the Kiss Quotient trilogy. I loved him. Definitely my fictional crush for a long time. For newest favorite character, I'm going to go with Ridge from Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. I really enjoyed his character in this book. I thought he was really respectable, which I loved, but he also like took no shit, which I also really enjoyed. Also, he was deaf, which is so cool to me. I've never read a book with the main character being like deaf or blind or anything like that. So it was a really nice change in scenery for me, and I think that's why I enjoyed his character more than if he wasn't deaf. 10, book that made you cry. I'm not really a super emotional person when it comes to books, I've discovered. So I haven't really cried in any books this year. I've been close. I've been teary-eyed. Like Reminders of Him, very close. So I guess I'll just go with that since that's the book that got me the closest. 11, book that made you happy. That should be plural because lots of books make me happy. However, I'm noticing that I'm reading more books that are disappointing me than are making me happy. But a book that made me happy was Ties That Tether by Jane Agaro. I loved that book. It made me very happy. It had a super cute story, but also like stories that, like realistic stories, since she's Nigerian and her mother wants her to end up with a Nigerian man and she ends up falling for a Spanish man. I just really loved the story and it made me very happy. Number 12, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I don't know if that's referring to the cover. I'm going to assume that it probably does involve the cover, but I don't really have an answer for that because to this day, no cover beats The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. That cover is so gorgeous, but I read that last year, so I can't include it. So I don't have an answer for number 12 because nothing beats The Lost Apothecary cover. 13, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So many, I can't name them all. I have to finish my 2022 reading challenges. There is over 30 books in that challenge that I have to read, and I've only read 12. I also want to read all of Colleen Hoover's backlist. There's a lot of books that I want to read by the end of the year, and I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed that I won't get to it, but fingers crossed because I really want to read them, so we'll see. Anyways, that is my mid-year book Freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry it's kind of all over the place. I thought it would be more fun if I asked myself the questions and answered them on the spot, but I feel like it kind of put pressure on me because I didn't know the answers right away. Anyways, I wasn't tagged by anyone in specific, so I'm not going to tag anyone specifically. If you see this video, I would love to see your responses to the question. Let me know in the comments below what your answers would be if you don't want to make a video. Please like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be notified every time I upload, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!